What's up, everybody? It is Don Juan, and I am back for another episode of Unapologetically. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have come back, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. And today we are going to talk about episode 3, season 7 of The Real Housewives of Potomac. Chris said, what was last week's episode? This week, I'm going to say, hot mic, you lying? Yeah, hot mic, you lying. So this week's episode, I tried to get it up a little bit faster for you guys because I know I have been delayed because of BravoCon. I'm going to be doing a BravoCon recap video. Also, if I wait too long, then I may not do it. So if you don't get it the next day, y'all, you're not going to get it. I'm just going to be honest with you. But to talk about season 7, episode 3 of The Real Housewives of Potomac. It starts off where we finished last week. Candace is not having it. Candace is not here for y'all to talk about her man. She says you can talk about Michael Darby all you want to. She's like, keep this fourth wall break in here. I don't give a damn. I'm going to say how I feel. I don't like how you're trying to play my man. I don't like how she's not for it. I think this is a very true indication of how reality sometimes people think they're going to get on a show and kind of produce and be, this person that they want to be. But then when like things happen along with the show, they're kind of like, hold on, stop the cameras. You can't say that. I don't want that to be said, and when it's a reality show, you kind of don't have that. You don't have that. Like people, they're producing the show. It's not you producing the show. So they're going to play what they would like to play. So we were able to see Candace stop everything and be like, hold on. I'm not liking how you're portraying, my husband. The producer says, if you're not giving it to me, I can't really show it. We continue on, and Robin and Wendy start to get into a little conflict because Robin feels that Wendy is kind of, playing the role of like she didn't agree with what Giselle and Robin were saying about, they don't know about this autoimmune, we don't know it's autoimmune disease at this point, but this cancer that Mia supposedly has. Wendy's like, I didn't say that. Robin is like, you feel the same way, but you tried to come at us all crazy. So they're sitting there ready to go at it. Giselle and, at this point, Giselle and who goes in, and Mia go into the other room. Mia is like, she was hurt by Giselle's delivery. Giselle actually apologizes, because she said, how it can be confusing on what is, being depicted about her health. But she said her delivery, she wants to apologize for. And nobody was expecting Giselle to apologize. While she's apologizing, Wendy and Robin are getting ready to get into it. Robin is like standing up on her feet, like, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, they ready to go at it. Very interesting to see Robin in this light. I don't think I've seen Robin in this light since I've been watching this show. So it's very interesting to see her like, what's going on? Wendy talks about her possible restaurant with Peter Thomas, with the ladies, and, like they're giving like, what does your husband think about this? They go to leave after Mia comes back out and after Giselle goes back out. Charisse is trying to be the peacemaker, but the ladies go to leave after that, and we get a hot mic moment. Mia walks out and someone says, how do you feel about... Wendy walks out and someone asks Mia how she feels about Mia's story. And when Wendy says she's lying, we know she's lying, but whatever. Oh, I'm still Mike. Can you take my mic? She does not know that they're going to play that later. So just 20 minutes ago, when they were saying, well, you believe the same thing, she's like, I never called her a liar. And then we get the hot mic where we see that she just didn't want to say it on camera. Basically, she was trying to protect her image. She didn't want to be the person that maybe was calling out the lady who could have cancer. But in real life, most of them don't believe this story. I've said it before on the past episodes. This story seems very weird, seems very crazy. Like I said, once you get a biopsy, usually a biopsy can tell you if it's autoimmune disorders, if it's cancer, if it's any of those kind of things. Biopsies can tell that. She was not giving a clear-cut answer about the biopsy or any of that. So that's why people were like, what is going on? Like, it seemed very weird. And most of the ladies seem to probably think that she's lying, but they don't want to say it. I think they're trying to protect their image. So we leave there. Ashley Darby continues to go house hunting. She finds out from her realtor that her husband has told her that, hey, we need to buy this house together because you can't get, approved for a house. Like, you can get approved for a bigger house with us, but also not tell them we're getting a divorce, because it can mess up your lending. And the realtor is like, no, I've spoke to your lender. You good. That lets her know you probably shouldn't trust the man that you're divorcing because he's just trying to keep you tied into the marriage. She later on cries because she never thought her marriage would come to an end like this. And that's pretty heartbreaking when you see someone who, I guess they thought they would be married forever, and that's not the case. So I think that is a very real moment for her when she sees that. I think that's a very true indication of how a lot of marriages are. Most people don't think that they're going to get married and get divorced. I think most people don't want to get divorced. So I think that's very, heartbreaking when you see it. Giselle and Karen get together. They're not really friends. I didn't really know that, but I'm learning that after watching the show. So, them coming, Karen having Giselle over to her home and all seems very different is what they're basically saying. They have a love-hate relationship is what we get. Karen also has a conversation with her husband where she talks about if I'm going to be looking good and, getting some work done, how do you feel about that? And they start talking about the idea of it's okay for her to have eye candy or to look and all of those kind of things. So it makes me, ask the question, how does that work in relationship? Is it okay for you to look? Some people don't like people to look at other people. Some people are very jealous of those kind of things. But she is they've been together all these years and he I'm cool. I ain't really tripping and you look great, so you would want, people to want you. So I think that's a very interesting conversation when you start to see them, dealing with those things. Candace goes home and her husband's not home. He's working and she has to continue with her cycle of giving herself the drugs for the harvest of her eggs. She's doing it alone and it seems to be a lot for her emotionally. That's a very deep process for anybody who's ever done any in vitro things or, I've seen people or, know people that process can be very hard and it can take a lot of commitment. So, kudos to her for saying this is what I want to do and sticking with it, even if she felt because he's working more, he's not there. We find out after that the cycles are not going as they've hoped. She feels that it's stress and all the other things, and she kind of feels like she's failed, already, even before being a mom. And she brings up to her husband about the idea of the things that the lady said, and how she's crazy. She feels crazy on how they would say that about him when he's been the nicest to them, when he's been the most amazing to them, when, all of these things. And he's like, well, Giselle actually asked me to come into, her dressing room, her room. So you hear this kind of conversation, which is very, very different. Giselle says, he said, hey, let's have a conversation. And she's like, he's like, yeah, I don't like how they're trying to portray it. I've been number sweet and not trying to kind of cross the line with them. And, Candace is not here for it. Robin connects with them and is like, look, she's basically saying hey, I'm kind of on the olive branch here. I don't necessarily feel that way. She was just expressing how she felt. And at the same time, Robin's having a conversation. Karen and Giselle are having a conversation. And you can tell that Karen is trying to figure out why Giselle is saying these things or feel these things. Did he say something inappropriate? Did he touch you? What is making you feel this way? And once that didn't happen, why did you feel like you needed to bring it up? And we find out that he needed to bring it up because she felt like she needed to bring it up because of the idea that he had DM'd other people or, and she was like, this kind of seems like this is something that can kind of steamroll. And so that's why she felt like she could bring it up. It's still kind of weird. You waited a few months. I think she was waiting a few months for production to start. I don't know why she waited a few months to bring it up. I'm assuming for the cameras to come up. In the conversation later that Mia has with Robin, Robin has a conversation with Juan and she's talking about a prenup, which is very interesting. Juan looks very different from the time when he started on the show. You know, he's definitely aged with the show, and then they do the flashbacks, and Robin looks different. You know, she's like still gorgeous, but she just looks different also. But they talked about, and he was like, well, you didn't ask for a prenup when I had all the money. So if you want a prenup, cool. Let's list out what you want. You know, he's not really tripping over the prenup thing, but seems like a very weird conversation. If y'all lost it all together, then you kind of get it back. I don't know that you need a prenup. Like, if you was broke together, if y'all happen to get rich together, then, you know, like, do you feel like he's going to leave you hanging or something? So maybe you guys can drop in the comments and tell me why she kind of has this thing about a prenup, or why she feels this way. I'm not sure. But again, we get to Robin has the conversation with Mia after that conversation with Juan. And she's asking Mia, like, look, your story's not adding up. Like, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to be there for you. I'm trying to figure it all out. But please tell me why your story is not adding up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not getting what's going on. You said you had cancer. You can see the timeline is kind of going a little backwards. And Mia finally says at that point, no, she doesn't have cancer. They've taken the lumps out. Her lymph nodes are swole. And she has something autoimmune, which I thought was very interesting. That last week I said that it seems like she may have something autoimmune, or something they could have found out from the biopsy. So she's revealing a little bit more. Still seems kind of weird. I'm sorry that the story, it took all of this to kind of get to the point of understanding like it's not cancer. I think she knew that a while ago, but she's finally revealing that it could be something autoimmune. And that's where they're like, okay, thank you. But then Mia says in the conversation, if you get back to the subject of Chris, that Chris started to look at her while they were at the previous event. And so that's why she can feel like it could be something truthful to the ladies feeling uncomfortable. With the flashbacks that they show, you don't really see Chris looking at her. You don't see Chris like looking at her when I'm looking at the flashbacks. It doesn't look like he's staring at her. It doesn't look like he's making her uncomfortable. When I'm looking at the flashbacks, ain't nobody really paying you no attention, Mia. Like, you standing there doing what you do, and everybody like, When I'm looking at the flashbacks, I agree. Giselle, you gave him a hug and you didn't seem uncomfortable then. Like, when I look at the flashbacks that they're showing, you know, I don't see that the women have a basis. I cannot take away from their feelings, but I don't see that they have a basis for their stance on Chris or the feeling that they have for Chris. So I am with Candace on, like, let's not do this. You don't really feel that way. Don't try to play me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm with Candace on that one. The ladies, again, they have this stance on Chris, and we're trying to get to the point of figuring out where they can go from there. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Candace goes with the ladies because of the conversations that have been had. I think Robin's going to come back with this news that Mia has said. I think it's going to be interesting to see how people respond when Mia adds her fuel to the fire. So overall, for episode 3 of season 7 of Real Housewives of Potomac, I think it had a lot of different things going on. I did get some answers to some stuff I was looking for. I'm thankful to you guys for helping me when it comes to giving me some insight if I don't know, because I had not been watching the show, and you guys were telling me in the comments, well, Giselle does this, you know, to other husbands as far as, you know, making them feel like what you did was wrong, and she kind of targets her husband, so that's why they feel that kind of way. So I thought all that was great insight. I'm still learning on this journey with y'all, but I will say, I think I got Mia clocked right. I think Candace is going to stick by her husband, so I just hope Chris is not really doing something crazy. Ashley and this divorce, I'm very interested in seeing how this works out. Giselle, they're trying to paint you as like the lady who just be mean. You know, they're trying to paint you as the mean girl from these episodes that I've seen. Like, you always coming for them. Yeah, Mia, this story, I don't know why. This story ain't storying. It ain't truthful, and it ain't truthful, it don't seem, but, you know, whatever. Karen is, you know, giving grand dame, and Robin's trying to figure out this thing with Juan, so I think it's very interested to figure and see and go from there. Wendy is trying to figure out this thing if she should go into business with Peter and the businesses and figure out her life. We caught her in a lie real quick, so that might be why she's going to the dermatologist too, to figure out the stress, and maybe she's stressing about, you know, her hair is falling out and they're trying to figure out ways to help her with the hair growth, but she's stressing maybe because she's holding in a lie too. I don't know. So all of this was a lot of things, and we were able to unpack a lot of things for episode 3 of season 7 of the Real Housewives of Potomac. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to buy merch, please make sure you visit thenewmeanie.com. I'm going to put it right there on the screen. And again, thank you so much for coming to the channel and watching Unapologetically. And I'll see you guys next week.